Hello, everybody. Let's try this for a third time. It is Wednesday. As you can tell, I don't have my glasses on. I think it says the 6th. Whatever date, I think it's Wednesday, whatever day that is. And this is the gentleman I'm forever telling you about. You should go watch all his videos. Do not go to your church, Unity Church, on Sunday. First and foremost, if it's on a Sunday, that's your first clue to run away. If they endorse and celebrate Christmas, Easter, and especially Halloween, run away. If they're telling you you no longer have to follow the law, the Torah, but still the 10 Commandments, but actually the 9 Commandments, because they don't follow the Sabbath. Yeah, you see where I'm going. You see the ridiculousness of that. Like, I mean, some things take a while to suss out. 2 or 3 sentences, and you already got a lot of WTF going on with the church, the modern church. But anyway, Bear Independent. He reads through the Bible, explained it, and he also has prepper, a lot of good prepper information. If you want to store food, how to do it, and he's not over the top. Oh, it's all coming down tomorrow or whatever. He's just cool, calm, collected. You should probably store food because things in life, as history has taught us, things happen. I also like to get oh yes, and I am in fact the best mom ever. Of course. Castor oil is good stuff. My old and wrinkly face is a little less old and wrinkly because of that. And since it's here, if you think Jesus is a hippie and all loving and there should be no violence and you can never protect yourself, you are wrong. Read your Bible. You absolutely have a duty to protect yourself and, dare I say, others. Now, commie states like the ones on the East Coasts, northern East Coasts and West Coast, make that difficult for an honest person to do, but still have to do it. And lately, I'm sorry, I'm not getting right in the Bible, but these are cool. These are, was it GP10 or something? And a couple different new plastics, and they're lightweight. And, use it as a letter opener, or, they can clean them off with anything. Sandpaper sharpens them up. And they're like $8.99. They're cheap. Really cool. Anyway. Man, got a long intro today, huh? 3 minutes in and I haven't said a word that means anything. Well, besides the bear plug. Revelation 20. We are really getting into the swing of things, so let's get to it. And yes, I was watching Bear just to brush up on a couple of things that I wanted to double check on. I don't agree with him with everything. In fact, 21, there's a couple things where I'm just like, what in the heck is he talking about? But, like I said, 98% of this whole book, I agree with what he says. And it's not because it's anything other than that's what the book says. And he says it, and I read it, and I go, yeah, that's what he says. The book says, that's what the book says. It's you're good to go. So here we go. Without further ado. And I saw a messenger coming down from the heaven, having the key to the pit of the deep and a great chain in his hand. And he seized the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. Now remember, if you remember way back in the beginning of this book, when Moses croaked, the archangel Michael argued with the devil over Moses' body. I wouldn't say argue, he just basically said, the Lord rebuke you. And there's a lot of speculation. A lot of people say that that's how powerful the devil is, that even, Michael didn't want to tussle with him. And I believed that for a while, too, until I read this, and this kind of dispels that notion. If a regular, nothing regular about angels, but if a regular old angel just, grabs him, tosses him away, should I bring back up? Lord's like, nah, just go grab him. Then Michael could have just sneezed him away. So the reason Satan has power. He was given power over this world. Was because that's how things are supposed to go. Again, my very, 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 very short and simplistic definition as to why he has power over this world and why he is allowed to torment us is because life is a douchebag test. Can you follow simple rules? Can you believe, you have faith that your Lord made you, and then when you goofed up like a loving parent, covered up, told you, covered up for you, tried to help you with your mistakes, covered up for your mistakes, not covered up in that way, covered you for your mistakes when you didn't follow his rules, but still held you accountable. That's what life is, along with the douchebag test. Because who wants to have douchebags in heaven? By the way, heaven, biblically speaking, is not whatever you picture heaven as being. I used to think, it's like, well, if I was up to me, heaven would basically be like a holodeck in Star Trek where you could just do whatever you want, whenever you want. That's not heaven. Heaven, biblically speaking, which we will get to in 21 or 22, is being in the golden city of Jerusalem, and serving Elohim, which, if you already do on earth now, you try to, is awesome and not really going to be a big transition, although I'm sure it'll be a lot more awesome, because he will wipe away our tears and won't be any more pain or any of this nonsense. No one's breath will smell, stuff like that. If that's not what you're into, then you go somewhere else where you're disconnected from him forever, which is, I guess, what you wanted here on earth anyway, so not a big deal. And I think the really, really bad people who deserve it get tossed in the lake of fire and tortured forever. I mean, I know I'm taking some liberties there with that last couple sentences, but that's what I choose to believe at this point in time, loosely speaking. Man, I'm blabbing today. And he seized the dragon, that serpent of old. I said that already. Oh, yeah, we'll get to this. The thousand-year mark. And he threw him into the pit of the deep and shut him up and set a seal on him so that he should lead the nations no more astray until the 1,000 years were ended. And after that, he has to be released for a little while. A little ambiguous there. I'm not liking that, John. So there are some people, there's some people that believe that we are in the 1,000-year millennial reign, which is just not true at all. And there's some people that believe we are in the little while, which, man, if you really get into the certain topics, you can kind of maybe make an argument for that. Kind of not really, but you kind of can, especially if you ever heard the term Old World, Tartaria. If you look around, the vast majority of states, actually all the states, I'm talking the vast majority of tiny, even small towns, will usually have a church that looks like it's from medieval times. And if you go down that rabbit hole, boy, oh boy, be prepared to have your mind blown. And I hope you have a lot of free time, because those buildings, in my estimation, were either from the fallen angels, and the Nephilim helped build them, the giants. That's why, because there's no way we built those. If you go to Wikipedia and look up all these old world buildings in Europe and here in America, they say, it's all the same AI written story. Boy, I'm getting into the rabbit hole about how they were, built in 1800 in a few years by people who had no experience, when they had no automated engineering or manufacturing, so they couldn't just call up a place and say, hey, I need 1,000 bricks. They had no power tools. They had donkeys, hammers, and chisels. They had no way to water the hundreds of horses they had every day. Crazy. It's craziness. And of course, they all always burn down, even though they're all stone, etc., etc. Anyway, those buildings were either built by the angels, the fallen angels, because that's what they were used to in heaven, and that's what they replicated down here, or duplicated. Replicate is an exact copy. Duplicate is a close to an exact copy. Or some people will argue that those buildings were made during the 1,000-year millennial reign, which had already occurred according to them, and we are in that little while. Now, there's several things that haven't happened in the Bible to get to even to get to Revelation, but they could argue that we wouldn't know that because it already had happened, and we are in this little while. I will submit to you that we are not, because where are all, or at least some, or even at least a little bit of the texts or data to show that the 1,000-year millennial reign had already occurred, besides these few old world buildings that are scattered across the world? You would think there would be something written about Yeshua being here 1,000 years and reigning with the martyrs, people who were martyred. There isn't any, at least that I know of, that is, considered legitimate works, as in writings. So that right there, to me, pretty much shuts down the we're in the little while phase. There's a guy who I see his videos pop up once in a while, and he's entertaining. Now, a lot of this stuff he goes over, and I'm out there, all right, everybody, I'll just fully admit that I'm out there, but he, posts videos that are out there, like, whoa, times 1,000 out there. His name is, and I'm not plugging him for any other reason other than because I know the human brain, and you'd be like, well, who is it? The Fittest Flat Earther. And I'm not commenting on the flat earth. I'm not saying I believe his videos. I'm just saying they pop up, and boy, oh boy, are they interesting. And some of them make you go, huh. Again, no affiliation. I am not recommending him. Nothing at all. Nothing. Just came up in conversation, so here we are. Maybe I shouldn't even said that, but here we are. Anyway, it's coming out. And he threw him into the pit of the deep and shut him up and set a seal on him so that he should lead I did that already. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore of Yeshua, and because of the word of Elohim, so the witness of Yeshua, and they kept the commands, the law, and who did not worship the beast nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands, and they lived and reigned with Messiah for 1,000 years. Okay. Now, when I first read the Bible, I'm on my fourth read through. It's like, oh, everybody, we get to reign with him and rule for 1,000 years. That'll be great. No. Read carefully, and it'll be further illustrated down here. This is only the people, at least from the words on this page, that died because of their faith in Yeshua and following the law. So there's still people in the world today who are dying because of this right here. Followers of the way, Christians, I guess. So they will be ruling and reigning with Yeshua in the 1,000-year millennial reign. But it is not everybody. The followers who did their job still believed in Yeshua and kept the law and died prior to this. That's not, you don't get that privilege. You had to basically get jacked for Yeshua, which, it'd be cool to reign for 1,000 years with Yeshua. Do you want to get, I guess beheaded would probably be the best way to go, but some of these people, really got it wrong, really got it bad, so I guess it depends on how you died. I don't know. A little rough there. And then again, just so we know, whoa, what do you mean you gotta follow the law? But I'm going to make a video, again, that's just going to slaughter the Big C Christian Church Unity Church's notion that we don't have to follow the law, but just for a little preview right now, Revelation 14:12. Here is the endurance of the set-apart ones. Here are those guarding the commands of Elohim and the belief of Yeshua. That's it. That's your job to get in. Oh, and you better have some works, because faith without works is death. We'll get to that in a second. Calm down. We'll get to that in a second. Blessed and set apart is the one having part in the first resurrection. Remember, this is the first resurrection. The second death possesses no authority over these, but they shall be priests of Elohim and a Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Remember Yahweh's promise to Abraham, I shall make of you a nation of priests and kings. Got some of that going on there. And when the 1,000 years have ended, Satan shall be released from his prison. And again, so that's been said twice now, so that's a definite, And he shall go out and lead the nations astray, which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. Some people think this is Russia and Ukraine. I sincerely doubt it, because that would mean that all this other stuff had happened. Weird millennial reign had happened, and as I just explained a couple minutes ago, that's just not the case. At least what I think is not the case. And they came over the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the set-apart ones in the beloved city, Jerusalem. And fire came down from Elohim out of the heaven and consumed them. So that was over pretty quick. They had, countless, the soldiers as countless as, there's numbers of sand of the sea. And Yahweh was basically like, hey, why don't you have some huge 50, 70-pound hail that's on fire, by the way. Why don't you have some of that? Doesn't sound like fun. And the devil who led them astray was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they shall be tortured day and night forever and ever. Definitely candidates who deserve it, if I've ever seen some. And I saw a great white throne, and him who was sitting on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven had fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead. Now this is where we're getting to everybody. The people who kept the Torah, the people who didn't believe, everybody else. Not the saints who were martyred for Yeshua. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before the throne, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from what was written in the books according to their works. Now there's some hay being made about different levels of hell, because according to Paul, there's different levels of heaven. Stands to reason there's different levels of hell. At least if this is me, this is not really, maybe you could stretch some of the Bible here, but this is just me spitballing. I think people who try to be good people and basically try to live like Christians, because remember, there are people who keep the law that don't even know what the law is, meaning you don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, blah, blah, blah. You basically be a good person, which is why, coincidentally, some people think, well, I'm a good person, but you're not really. You're a sinner. We're all corrupt at heart, but you try, okay? So the people that try but don't believe in Yeshua, don't believe that there's a God and all that, I just think your body dies, your soul just kind of dries up, and you're separated from the Lord because you chose to be, and that's it. It's over. Just like you're sleeping at night, you never know. It's not it's just you're gone. You had your time here on earth, and that was it. And then you get to the people who were, as it says, as we read and have read, the rest who were cowardly. Yes, cowardly. You are not getting into heaven if you are cowardly. So go and ask that person out. Go for the promotion. Start the business. Try. You've got to push yourself, because that's how you find out who you really are. You don't know who you really are if you don't put, and you're going to fail. You're going to fail. And you're going to fail over and over and over again. That's okay. Failing, in case no one ever told you, failing is okay. What's not okay is if you don't learn your lesson and don't get up and try again. That's what's not okay. Okay, so liars, cheaters, murderers, rapists, etc., etc. Now, maybe the different levels of hell are for them, getting thrown into the pit of fire and getting tortured forever and ever, for murderers, rapists, etc., spam phone callers. Levels, again, this is just me just spitballing here, just talking a little smack. Who knows what, whatever. As far as the works, read the book of James, and I will do another video on works, and you can see, oh, trust me, tons of biblical proofs that yes, you better have works. Now, you're not going to work your way into heaven because none of us can work perfectly enough to get into heaven. And if we did, we would boast anyway. And the Lord ain't trying to have any of that shit, yo. And someone up there again being a dude, oh, I worked my way up here. The rest of you clowns were just given access. It's not happening. So you're not working your way in. And I know that's confusing to some, and it's confusing at first. I get it. But it's really not that confusing. Just you believe in Yeshua Messiah. You keep the commands to the best of your ability. And when you were born again, believing in Yeshua as your Savior, you go in the water to brain fart. You guys, everyone knows what I'm talking about. You go in the water, and according to biblically, you must be dipped in the water, not just have some stuff sprinkled on your forehead. Then since you were following Yeshua, you were supposed to walk in his footsteps. He kept the commands. He followed his Father's word. He kept the feasts. He kept Sabbath. And he did good works. So again, it's not, guys, gals, it's not complicated. What work should I do it? Follow what Yeshua did. Kept his Father's word. You actually have to do an extra step that he didn't have to do. You believe in him, and then you do what he did. Kept his Father's words, the Torah, and do good works. That's it. That's it. That's it. It's not more complicated than that. And the book says so over and 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 over again. Straight from the words of Yeshua, straight from Yahweh, straight from the prophets, straight from Paul, everybody who likes to twist, straight from the apostles, over and over and over again. Don't let anyone tell you you do not have to keep the law. They're wrong. Now, you can't obviously we don't have a temple, so you can't make sacrifices and whatnot. So you do what you can. You do what you can. Again, you try. And the sea, here we go. See, the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Sheol gave up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. Now, according right here, if you're a scumbag, you're going to Sheol first. Then you're going to get dug up and tossed into the lake of fire. So you're not going to be having a fun time either way. It's probably not a good policy to fight against Yah and be a scumbag. Just saying. And this is the death and Sheol were thrown into the lake of fire. So everything gets tossed in there into the wastebasket and flushed. This is the second death. And if anyone was not found written in the book of life, i.e., believed in Yeshua, kept the commands, did good works, he was thrown into the lake of fire. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say James says faith without works is death. But there's a couple other verses in the Bible which makes me wonder, what if you don't have works? Or what if you genuinely thought you didn't? I don't know. Maybe you're a janitor in heaven? You have to clean the toilets? Maybe the death is a metaphor. I'm not going to, again, I've gotten into this before. I'm not going to staunchly say either way, works is absolutely needed. If you believed in Yeshua, you kept the commands, but you didn't have works, you aren't getting in. I'm just not prepared to say that. I think when James says faith without works is death, well, that's pretty literal. I'm guessing that most people, once they believed in Yeshua and you follow the law and you try to become a follower, you had to have done something good for someone once. So if you did something good for someone once, that technically qualifies as a good work, so you're in, right? anything in your whole life, so you're in. Now, again, you might be a janitor or cleaning turds out of the toilet. I don't know. But that's my take on it. Because, like I said, you can cover works. Well, I guess if you do two good things, this is plural. I'm sure everybody has done, even the skis balls at one point have done two good things for someone else in their life. So, there you go. A little long today, but that is 20. We're going to do 21 soon. And there's a lot of great stuff. And yeah, there's just great stuff coming up in the next two chapters. New Heaven and New Earth. We're going to dispelling a lot of the churchianity nonsense. So I hope everyone has a great day. Peace out, yo.